20,000 people, one freeway, one direction, all at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's what the TRIC Commute actually looks like from South Reno. And that's not the version you got when they said, oh, Reno? Everything's 20 minutes away. Technically, that is true if you stay in town or you're running errands. But that commute to TRIC, only at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in July. The rest of the time, it's a different story. Hi, I'm Rayner, your go-to realtor for all things Reno, and I have been selling real estate since 2004. And when I moved here in 2015, and I drive all these same roads. So today we're going to break down the real commute from the South Reno corridors all the way out to the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center. I want to cover what traffic actually looks like and not what Google tells you. Then we'll touch upon what the winter actually does to this drive. And then we'll cover which neighborhoods actually make sense if you work out at TRIC. And why some people move here, do the commute for 2 weeks, and then start Zillow searching Sparks at midnight while stress eating those Costco muffins. No judgment. I've seen it actually happen, especially with the Costco muffins. So if you're new to Reno, the Tahoe Industrial Center, or TRIC, is basically the economic engine sitting about 20 miles east of town. It's the largest industrial center in the world with over 100,000 acres. Out there you have Tesla's Gigafactory, Panasonic, Google, Switch, warehousing, logistics, manufacturing, and that's all with data centers and AI hubs. The whole complex has become a magnet for major employers, and it's only accelerating. And all of that comes with roughly 20,000 commuters all trying to squeeze into the same corridors headed the same direction. They're all trying to get to work basically at the same time, which if you ever tried to merge onto the freeway at 6 a.m. next to somebody who's already had their third energy drink and they're on to their second bad decision, you understand why this matters. So yes, where you live in relationship to those corridors matters a lot more than what most of those relocation videos are even going to cover. And that's before I tell you what happens when the snow, wind, or a Tesla shift change all takes place while they're all pouring into the I-80 construction zone and decide to show up all on the same morning. So stay with me. South Reno is genuinely one of the best places to live in the metro. And I say that as someone who works with a lot of relocating families coming from California, because this area checks all the boxes. Newer homes, master planned neighborhoods, all with trails, parks, and the summit for shopping. We also have mountain access, clean suburban feel without feeling like you're in the middle of nowhere. So if you're coming from the Bay Area or LA, then this part of Reno is probably what you envisioned when you started searching. It's what happens when you actually start Googling nice neighborhoods in Reno and find this, you think this could be it. But here's the honest trade-off. The commute out to TRIC from South Reno is actually longer than expected. The typical route is Veterans Parkway, which is personally the way that I would go. If not, you have South Meadows to North 395, then eastbound on I-80, and then you will show up at the US Parkway into the industrial corridor. This is otherwise known as Northern Nevada's version of the Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race!
Except the prize at the end of this is usually just a cup of coffee and another staff meeting. And the reason why the drive is longer than what most people expect is because of geography. You're starting on the far south end of the valley, crossing essentially the entire metro before you even get pointed east towards TRIC. There's no shortcut. I've looked. The shortcut doesn't exist. Nevada hasn't built it. Nevada had other priorities. So on a clean morning with no incidences or weather, you're probably looking at 45 to 50 minutes to get to TRIC. Add in a fender bender on the 395 interchange, which the locals affectionately call the Spaghetti Bowl, It's because it looks like somebody dumped a plate of freeways on the map after one too many during the design meeting, and that took 45 minutes now became 70 minutes. Now add in shift traffic, you're officially looking at probably 80 minutes. Add a storm to that mix, we're probably going to have a separate conversation, and you're probably going to need another snack. And here's what most relocation buyers don't factor in when they're calculating the commute time, all from their living room couch with Google Maps set to leave now on Sunday at 2 p.m. TRIC traffic isn't random. It's actually shift-based. Tesla alone runs thousands of employees all on a scheduled shift. Then you have Panasonic, Switch, logistic operations, and all of them cycling workers in and out all at predictable times. What that all means is eastbound I-80 takes a major hit right between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. Then in reverse, westbound gets hammered roughly between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. So if you're a shift worker or you have a job out at TRIC that starts basically at 6 or 7 a.m., you're headed directly into that corridor with a few thousand other people all showing up at the same time. All of you in the same lanes, with the same coffee, with varying levels of enthusiasm for Monday morning. So your 45-minute commute can now take about 65 to 80 minutes. Or possibly I should have packed a second lunch kind of minutes. And the honest truth is, this is not unique to Reno. Every major employment corridor sees this same thing. But people moving here from California automatically assume it's easy because it's not an LA kind of thing. Some of it actually is. Some of it's just a different version of the same math delivered slightly at a lower cost of living without the HOV lane essentials crisis. And that's dry roads, clear skies, and no incidents. But let me tell you what happens on that same commute in January, because that's the moment that most people start reconsidering all of their life decisions. Now I want to be brutally honest and talk about the winter commute, because this is the part nobody's going to put in their relocation video. Reno sits at about 4,500 feet in elevation. The valley floor doesn't normally see the kind of snow totals that shut everything down. For most winters, it's measured in inches and not feet. Most of the roads are dry a day later. But here's the part that happens, and this is the thing that surprises most people who have only driven Reno in the summer, which is a lovely time to visit and a very misleading time to form your opinions. We can at times get black ice, slush that freezes overnight, hard freezing mornings, and wind. And the I-80 corridor east of Reno is extremely exposed. There are stretches out there that feel like you're driving through a wind tunnel with a center divider. It's the kind of wind that doesn't just blow your hat off, it actually is the deciding factor of where your hat now lives. You can have blowing snow and near whiteout conditions on I-80 while it's completely clear and dry in South Reno. Although rare, it does happen. Chain controls go up, accidents happen, semi-trucks, bless their hearts, occasionally lose traction on the icy roads and become very inconvenient road furniture. A 50-minute commute in October can unfortunately become 80 minutes in January. It's not every day, but it's enough days that you need to know it's coming. And if you're commuting to TRIC from South Reno, then you should have a four-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive vehicle with actual snow tires. Not all seasons, that should be fine based on a conversation you had with yourself in a parking lot in September. Tires here really matter. The 1 year that I actually changed out my winter tires too early, I got caught on a storm on Highway 50, and after I came to a complete stop, my Audi actually broke loose and slid into the guardrail. You'll also probably want to have emergency supplies in the car and an honest conversation with yourself about how you feel about driving in winter conditions. I moved from California, and I'll be the first to tell you, With the first couple of winters here in Nevada, you will get humbled, and that's fine. You'll figure it out. Most people do. A few people have even called me from the ditch on the side of the road and asked me if I know a good tow truck. So you need to approach all of this with the proper expectations and not some YouTube thumbnail. And look, this is exactly why when we're having conversations with those that are relocating here for a job out of TRIC, the very first conversation we have is not which neighborhood you like. We talk about timing. Because if you're selling in California and buying here, those are two separate transactions that need to be talking to each other. My wife Cindy has spent 20 years in title and escrow and an additional 14 years in lending. We've probably seen every possible coordination of this go horribly wrong. And honestly, some of them are impressive on just how sideways they've actually gone. We help people map that out before they're in escrow trying to map all this out at the absolute worst time. So if that sounds like your situation, go to meetwithchris.com. It'll be 30 minutes, no pressure, and a real conversation. Okay, so South Reno is actually longer than it was advertised. And you now know that winter driving can add up to 40 minutes to that commute. Now, let's talk about what your options actually are, and that answers not the same for two people. I want to be able to give you an honest map of what it's like to commute from different neighborhoods. You're going to want to look at Sparks or East Sparks if your primary objective is cutting commute time to TRIC. Sparks and Sparks East are the most logistical answer. I know. You say, I didn't move up here to go live in Sparks. But wait, it's only 20 to 40 minutes with a lot less weather exposure, and it has direct I-80 access. More times than not, there could be severe weather in South Reno and very little to none in Sparks. And you're simply closer to the freeway and the industrial corridor. You have less crosstown traffic, less exposure to the I-80 weather zone, and less overall stress on a bad morning. This leaves you with more time that doesn't consist of you sitting in your car. But the honest trade-off is the lifestyle feel. Sparks is solid, it has its own identity, good neighborhoods, reasonable prices, but if you were drawn to the South Reno suburban feel, Sparks is a different vibe. It's not worse, but it is different. It's kind of like In-N-Out and Habit. Both are great burgers, it just depends what you want. Neither one of these are wrongs, they're just different, and it all comes down to your lifestyle. After that, Spanish Springs is probably the best middle ground option for TRIC commuters who want more space. You'll get the suburban feel, bigger lots, family neighborhoods, but without crossing the entire metro to get to I-80. The commute is meaningfully shorter than South Reno for most TRIC workers. And there is a long discussed northeast corridor that should be going in sometime in the next few years that will help ease with this traffic congestion. But I will say this carefully. Don't buy Spanish Springs assuming that project's going to materially change how your commute is next year. Most government timelines move at a pace that would embarrass a glacier. I have watched this project get almost ready to start so many times now, it has its own section in my mental filing cabinet labeled, eventually, maybe Nevada. So I want you to plan for what exists right now. And then there's the North Valleys that could work for affordability and space. The commute to TRIC is reasonable. It's a roughly 45 to 55 minutes depending on where you're at up there. But the caution here is weather. But because of elevation, the North Valleys tend to run colder, icier, and windier than the valley floor. So if winter driving's already a concern, then this is going to amplify it. Just think of it as a premium setting for northern Nevada's winters. Then we have Somerset, which is genuinely a beautiful place to live. There's luxury homes, views, golf, mountain lifestyle, and the kind of neighborhood that makes you feel like you made good decisions in life. But for TRIC commuters, this will be one of the least efficient options you have in the metro. That's because you're starting on the far west side of Reno, which means you're fighting the West Reno traffic to get to the Spaghetti Bowl, and then fighting the eastbound I-80 traffic to get out to TRIC. You're literally catching both bottlenecks. You are, to put it gently, collecting the full set. What you will get is great sunsets, genuinely questioning morning life choices if TRIC is your destination 5 days a week. And one more thing that nobody puts in the brochure. We have 2 seasons here, winter and construction. And sometimes these two even overlap, which is an adventure all in its own. Reno's growth has happened faster than the infrastructure's been able to keep up. That's not a criticism, it's true of every metro that grows at a rapid pace. The road network is playing catch up, and there's a lot of active and planned work on the very corridor that TRIC commuters depend on. The I-80 West Reno Bridge replacement's active through spring of 2028. There's the Patrick Interchange involvements, which is 26 and 27. Then we have the I-80 widening that's happening from Vista to USA Parkway. Construction's going to start late 2027 and it's estimated to be completed by summer of 2031. It's going to mean more lanes, better flow, and fewer choke points that currently make bad mornings worse. Short term, for the next several years, it just means it's probably going to be worse before it gets better. And that's the honest read. Because summer of 2031 is not tomorrow. So plan accordingly and maybe get yourself a really good podcast set. So here's the simple version. If you're a TRIC shift worker who needs to minimize commute pain, then you need to consider Sparks or East Sparks. It's going to translate to shorter drives, less weather exposure, more predictable mornings, so your future self will send you your current self a thank you note. And if you're a hybrid worker or a remote worker with the occasional TRIC visits and you care more about lifestyle, then definitely go see South Reno. Just make sure that you budget your time correctly and never expect 20 minutes to get to TRIC. And if you want a middle ground, Spanish Springs means more space, better commute than South Reno, and a reasonable trade-off. If you love Somerset, live there. Just don't come in assuming that your commute out to TRIC is going to be easy. The views will be worth it, but your commute will be character building. In all of these scenarios, make sure you buy the right vehicle, budget the right drive time, and factor in Nevada winters before you sign anything. This is exactly why I tell people who are relocating to Reno that it's not just a house. It really is about understanding how your day-to-day is going to look. And that includes commute, the weather, the timing, the 2 transaction coordination if you're selling in California at the same time. 2 neighborhoods can feel completely different once you factor in the commute time, school access, and what February actually looks like on your drive. February has a unique distinction about how to clarify things that September just can't. So if you're planning a move to Reno and you work at TRIC, or you're just trying to work through and figure all this out, then we're happy to help you. Just go to the link below and schedule a time that works best for your schedule at meetwithchris.com. It'll be 30 minutes, no pressure, and the real picture. So if this video has actually helped you get clear on what your commute would look like, then drop a question in the comments below. I personally read them and respond. And if you want the next piece of the puzzle after you figure out what your commute would actually look like, then the next question is always, okay, which neighborhood actually fits my lifestyle and fits my life? We'll make that part very simple for you. And hit that subscribe button if you want the real version of Reno. Not the highlight reel, the actual thing. The weather, the traffic, and all of it. And remember, in Reno, only being 20 minutes away is more about a philosophy than a measurement. I'm Chris Rayner, your go-to realtor for all things Reno. We'll see you on the next one.